There's another thing that you hit on that I want to get your thoughts on. And one of the things we talk about at Triad is playing the infinite game versus the finite game. I'm sure you're at least somewhat familiar with Simon
Sure.
Sinek's book, Infinite Game. And to me, you were looking at the infinite game in the early days. It was like, how do I design a business that serves my life? Like starting with the most important variables first, which is how do I want to live my ideal life and day and week, and then retrofitting the business around it. Where, to your point, when you first started out in this space, you're chasing the dollar, you're redlining out, and it's kind of like the business is controlling the lifestyle. And what I've found is if you look at the infinite game, which is, can you ever like have too good of a business and too good of a life? If that's done properly, versus the finite game, which is chasing the premium each year, the revenue each year, the new assets each year. And it's like, oh, every year the game starts over and I've got to run faster on the treadmill. You figured that out way younger and way earlier than most. Any thought process that went through that, or any tips you could give a financial advisor maybe redlining out a little bit on like how to course correct and play a different game than they've been playing in the past?
Yeah, so I think so it's like it's worth noting too that like uh, uh, it was actually really hard to hit rock bottom, So for me, like being
Mm,
like when I started, I had no money. I was so broke. Nobody in my family had like it was like so about that redlining. I felt like I ran that RPMs to the max for like 4 or 5
hmm
years, and I reinvested almost every dollar back into the business to try to grow it, grow it, grow it, grow it. So interesting. I'd say like one of the most simple pieces of advice I'd give people is if you find yourself in a hole, uh, step one is to stop digging, and I think a lot of people, they almost, the opportunity cost they create in their life makes it really hard for them to ever stop digging. So it's like that's why they keep running the red line. 'Cause they think if I just keep going harder, if I just can get another $2 million case, if I can just get another $100,000 of revenue, if I can just, and it's like, and that never, like, that's just you continuing to dig and dig and dig and dig, So for me, I had to hit a point where like I was completely exhausted, burnt out, like questioning if I wanted to stay in this business, like, and I was 27 years old, I was young and I was making great money. And I sort of, did a bunch of dumb things that I didn't realize at the time, like went out and bought a bunch of stuff thinking like, well, I'm unhappy but I've got this money now. So maybe if I buy a big fancy house, or maybe if I buy a fancy
mm,
car, and none of that stuff is actually that important to me, So, but I think the sooner people can recognize that they're in a hole and then stop digging, which basically means like hard reset, do a bit of calendar bankruptcy and kind of go, what do I really want to spend my time on, and get there fast. Don't be afraid of like mistakes. I think one of the funny things about this business, and hopefully if someone's had some success and they're listening here, one of the things that I had conviction in, that it gave me the confidence to go take a risk and do that hard reset, was I was like, I could always do this over again. If I fail, what is the worst that could happen? I have to go back and rebuild again. I mean, that's not that hard. I know how to build. In fact, I could build it 10
yeah.
times faster and better if I had to do it all over again from scratch. So like, what do I have to lose by pursuing something that actually is still great for society and, great for clients, but also works for me? Again, as they would have it, so it's easier. You always know this in hindsight, but it's very scary at that moment when you're like, okay, like, am I really going to do this? Like, is this the craziest thing I've ever done? Like, all your friends think you're nuts. Like, I had all these friends that thought
Mm,
I was completely out of my mind, like to walk away from, kind of the life that I built and start over in a new state with no family, friends, connections, contacts, building a virtual business back before Zoom existed, right? Like, I mean, like these things were all strange things to people, but I think that, again, hit rock bottom, stop digging, and move quickly, because it's always going to seem scary at the time, but it's always in hindsight. You're like, man, my one thing I regret is not doing this sooner.
mm. I can relate very closely to that. I mean, just went through a similar transition myself that I think most people would say was absolutely crazy. But I think the key thing is, I had a mentor tell me this once. They said, do the work first, like get crystal clear on what it is you want. And you mentioned the exercise with Frank Kern, the core desires. You got pretty damn clear on what Jason wanted before you left, right? And
Mhm.
and the same thing for me. It probably took me 2 or 3 years, a lot of conversations with my wife, a lot of self-reflection. And I just got really crystal clear on what I wanted. And then the truth is, once you get there, that's almost like you're free. And I love the worst case scenario, because the worst case scenario, like honestly, the way I look at it is, if my family's healthy, I could be on a cardboard box on a street corner and things could be worse. You know what I mean? And I don't know. That's just the way I think. It's not necessarily a money thing. It's being surrounded by the people I love and I want to do life with. And so I just love kind of that mental exercise you just went through. So thanks for sharing that.